Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
ICCB storming up. You can't sink the ship, do it does. We've been moving down the field, moving down the field.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into the program. It is Wake Up War Chant. That's the best song out right now, bar none. Maybe the best show. Last Chance U. Moving down the field, Corey. Feel like
that's the kid from the Last Chance U.
Dude, I don't care what anybody says. This is what I would call hot fire.
Yeah, the problem wasn't the song. I was really worried about the video with him and like little fireworks and him shooting like laser guns.
Right.
I was like, oh boy, the kids that go to that school, and especially the kids on the football team, and just how kind of nerdy that kid that made that video was. But it's not a bad little jam. I'll be honest with you.
I've been rocking
it. The video was a little rough.
Yeah, it was. I've been rocking it though. All right, Corey. So this would be the day that we make up and just do all Renegade Express, all questions from the folks, which we'll get to. We might have to do an overtime segment, but there's a lot to talk about. A few things to talk about. Where do you want to start first? Yeah? Do you want to start with domestic things or things going on in the nation? I know
that's your call, buddy. You're the driver. You're the driver of this ship.
We'll talk urban, I guess, at the end of the segment, just so we can get out without it being too awkward. So Florida State released their schedule for the preseason 72 hours before camp starts. Take that for
really
what it's
bizarre.
Take that
it
for what it's
doesn't matter. We kind of knew it couldn't be much later than. I mean, we kind of all knew it was probably going to be that Monday. But yeah, it is kind of odd that it took that long to at least release it. I mean, it didn't really matter, but just a little. I don't even know if it's odd. It's just not how everybody else has ever done it.
I've never encountered this.
But I guess that would define it as odd.
Exactly. It's fine, Corey. We'll just say that I criticize it.
We do get the two coordinators on Sunday.
We do. That's cool. That's
pretty
promising.
awesome.
Also, the first two practices are open completely in their entirety to the media. All practices are closed to the public. Sorry, boys and girls. But the first two practices will be open the entire time for the media. So should have a lot of good visuals to use throughout the season from these first two practices. It will be a Sunday press conference.
I'm fired up about that. I mean, I know they're not in pads, but still, these are real practices. So that I think we'll be able to glean some stuff these first couple days.
Yeah. The weird thing too is they only gave us 1 week worth of scheduling. Most schools usually just kind of dump it all out in terms of, all right, this is what we're doing the entire time before game week starts. But we just got 7 days, and they're like, okay, we'll talk to you later. Figure it out. So it's like, okay.
And they confirmed what Fan Day is, right? Which is the 19th.
Correct. Also known as Coco Chanel,
Aslan's
William Jefferson Clinton,
30th
and
birthday.
Aslan's birthday. There you go.
Nice.
I'm going to go ahead and gripe about it. Everyone's going to get mad. You can play the good cop on this, Corey. This whole morning stuff, not a fan. And we're going to talk to him before practice.
That's not you. That's not like you to gripe about things.
Yeah, I know. Been so positive lately.
Must be that you're getting older. You know that next birthday is right around the corner.
Coming closer, yeah.
So it puts you in a bad mood.
Yeah, no one cares about that, though. Do your job, they say. You cover sports for a living, et cetera, et cetera. I'm holding out hope that this is maybe just a 1 week thing. Like maybe once the season starts, they're still going to practice in the morning, I think, regardless, which is fine, whatever. I would just prefer to not have to show up at 7 a.m. to interview a coach and a player. That's just, that's a personal preference thing.
The big thing with me, and it's really not the time, although anybody that knows anything about me at all knows that I would not be fired up about waking up. And I know what time you guys are listening to this right now. Trust me, Corey Clark is asleep right now while you're listening to this on the radio. I'm not a big fan of waking up at 7 in the morning or 6:30 or 8:50, whatever, 7:45, 8:15. I'm not a morning person. But more than anything, it's like I've never been a big fan of interviewing people before something happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'd rather get you coming off the practice field to see how it went, to see if there's any news, instead of waiting another whole day. That's whether that's at 8 at night or 8 in the morning. That would be my preference. But again, if it's anything like the spring, where we got virtually anyone we asked for, we literally, I think I did it up right. We got like 45 players.
Yep.
We got we got like 80% of the kids on scholarship. Man, that's, if it's going to be like that, I certainly don't want to gripe right now because, again, compared to what it was the last 7 or 8 years, this is a godsend. If we're going to have this much access and coordinators are going to be available, hopefully, that would be that. I'm really excited about that. I'm not excited about talking to anyone at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, we'll survive. But yeah, I wonder though how much or how often we will get the coordinators. Sunday it all starts, folks. Sunday 4 p.m. a press conference. We'll have plenty of coverage over on warchant.com. If you're not a member, join the family. Warchant 30. I'll get you 30 free days to feel things out. So 4 p.m. Walt Bell and Harlan Barnett will join Willie for the press conference, and then Monday's practice is at 10 in the morning, which is fine. And we'll talk to them before.
Well, and I think, and actually on Sunday, I'm going to ask Willie that. I'm going to be like, "What's your policy for talking to coaches?" Or hopefully we're not just getting them one time in August. And are the other position coaches available? What's your policy and why? It's because I do want to know that. And again, people, I say this a lot, and I'm always going to say it. I'm always going to couch it and qualify it and explain why it's important. I get paid either way, whether I talk to anyone. They could all, like right now, because of the stuff going on in Columbus, all the everybody on the Ohio State football team is off limits. Nobody's going to interview them. Well, who really does that affect? The people that cover Ohio State, they still get paid. It's the fans. The fans don't get to hear from coaches and players that they cheer for. And on the same token, anytime, at least from my perspective, when I complain about access, it's because I want to tell stories that you guys will care about. And you can do better jobs when you talk to more people. And it's not just one mouthpiece talking about somebody, a defensive back that he doesn't ever really coach. It'd be much better, much more beneficial for everyone if you got to talk not only to the player, but also to that coach, the guy that coaches them. And so that's what I'm hoping for, because you want to get to know these people. The fans want to get to know these people. And I hope Willie's a little more open to that than the last guy and letting assistant coaches talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good start. I mean, if you're a fan, you're going to get plenty of nuggets, is what they call it, I think, on the message board, from the practices, because they'll be open. I mean, the first two will be completely open to the media, and then subsequently we'll have a brief viewing window, which is standard operating procedure for every major Division I program. So them giving us 2 practices, carte blanche, to go out there and do stuff is pretty cool. We'll focus on the positive, and I will stop griping about the negative. It is a Friday, after all. Okay, also, preseason poll came out. Corey, I know you're stoked for that. You love these things, right? Preseason polls, coaches poll.
Oh, my favorite thing about the sport, honestly.
Guess who's number 1?
I mean, I saw it, but I would have probably guessed anyway that it might have been Alabama.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you're right. It's true. Clemson's
Clemson 2?
Yeah, Clemson number 2.
Okay. All right.
So as it stands right now, this brutally hard schedule that everybody keeps fretting over is going to include Florida State playing the 17th ranked team in the nation in the opener, Virginia Tech, going on the road to play preseason number 8 Miami, hosting preseason number 2 Clemson, and going on the road to play number 11 Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's 11th?
Notre Dame is 11th, Corey Clark.
Wow, I didn't know they were supposed to be that good. All right, okay.
I don't even know.
I mean, I know they always get a little more hype because they're Notre Dame. But, yeah, all right, that's interesting. Yeah. Florida, huh? Florida didn't make it.
Florida did not make it. I did not see a number in front of their school name. That's not a good thing. Correct, confirm, deny. That's not good, right?
Correct. Yeah, you want a number somewhere in the top 25. You want like 1 to 25, one of those numbers to be by your name, and that usually means you're going to be pretty good. But then again, you can come out of nowhere and do some damage. I remember a time not so long ago, Aslan, where this little team in Starkville started the season, I believe, unranked.
Correct.
And then beat 2 or 3 incredibly overhyped SEC teams and found themselves number 1 in the country. That wasn't that long ago, my man. So anything can happen in college football, folks.
And also a little bit of an interesting tidbit that I unearthed in this is that let me find it here so I say it correctly. I don't want to be factually, statistically incorrect. We see what happens last time I did that. 9 straight years, Corey, at least 3 preseason AP top 10 teams. This is the coaches poll that we're talking about right now. The AP, I think, comes out like on the 20th, I want to say. They're waiting. They're taking their time. But for 9 straight years, at least 3 preseason AP top 10 teams finished the year with 4 or more losses. That streak ended last year because only one team that was preseason top 10 lost 4 or more games. That's Jimbo Fisher's former team. right here in Tallahassee.
I wonder, did we ever look up like maybe the last number 3 team that preseason? Well, wasn't Florida State 3rd in the country to start the season? Right?
Yeah, correct.
4th?
Correct. Yeah,
The
Ohio
last
State was
time
2.
a number 3 preseason team finished with 6 losses.
Hey, man, I think the year Lane Kiffin tanked really bad at SC. I think 2012 SC was ranked number 1.
Yeah, I think they started one of those years number 1.
Yeah, they were pretty high. They were pretty high up there. So,
so I mean, their preseason polls are what they are, man. They don't mean a whole lot other than I guess it's an indication that you have some players coming back. Florida State is 19th. That
Correct.
seems about fair. I don't think there's anything to argue really there. Might be a little. I mean, they didn't finish 19th in the country last year, and they lost some good players. So and a coach. So I can understand why some people on the outside might think, why is Florida State ranked so high? And I can understand why Florida State fans might be kind of quietly. I don't think they're certainly not upset. I think they might be kind of giddy a little bit, like, oh, I can't wait to surprise some folks, because it's been a long time since Florida State was ranked this low to start a season. Like 6 years, right? At least 7 years. So that's probably I think that's a cool spot for Florida State fans to be in, kind of like an underdog, which in reality they're not. We get it, but when you start out 19th in the country, man, that's you get to surprise some people, and that can always be fun.
5 teams from the SEC are in the top 25, and there's 5 ACC teams if you include Notre Dame. So well represented.
Which, again, I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start hammering this pretty soon as the TV contracts, as the ACC network continues to try to get off the ground. Man, make them join the conference. College football, Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship in 30 years, and college football is more popular than it's ever been. So why do we think Notre Dame is the end-all, be-all of popularity in this sport? I know they're popular, and I know everybody around the country cares about them, but it's survived for 30 years without them. They're not some unattainable goal that you can't. No, they're just not going to be affiliated. Okay, don't be affiliated. Don't go. Then you don't get to go to the BCS bowls, or whatever they're called now.
New Year's Six.
You don't get to go to those bowls, man. Yeah. If you're not in a conference, in the rules that you don't have to play a conference championship game, then and that's coming soon, where they're all going to have to do that. Man, you're sorry, and they all do, right? Every conference now has a conference championship game. Notre Dame, if you don't play in a conference championship game, you don't get to go to a bowl. You don't get to go to the playoff. Sorry. Join a conference.
Hardliner.
You're not that special. You're not that special. It survived just fine without you.
Hardcore Corey Clark going hardliner on the folks in South Bend, man. Look at this. Where's
just saying? Just saying, folks. Who's with me? Wake up.
Ohio State ranked 3rd, so that's one team that Florida State will most likely leapfrog with all the tumult going up there. As of this recording, as we date ourselves, I would imagine there's probably going to be some resolution on Friday. I would imagine into Urban Meyer's future at Ohio State, which I assume is going to end with him being ceremoniously dumped. Do you agree or disagree with that assertion, Corey?
You think it'll be ceremoniously, not unceremoniously, but they'll actually have a ceremony for
him?
I
thought I said.
Which they should.
I'll put a prefix.
Oh, I didn't hear the un part. Nobody ever says ceremoniously.
Ever. I didn't know. I think maybe I did say ceremoniously fired. Yeah, they'll probably have a press conference and be like, "Peace out, Urban." Later.
Or maybe a parade. I mean, he did bring him a championship
and an undefeated
he's
season.
70. I think he's like 73-8.
Yeah.
At Ohio State, something like that.
Crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. Well, I mean, it's just nuts how good he's
absurd,
been.
Man.
He is a great football coach. There's no doubt about it. He until he quit on Florida, but he had 2 national championships with them. Ohio State's been relevant and good every year, even when they lose a ton of people to the draft. But we're in an era. Thankfully, we got here. It took way too long, but we got here. We're in an era where if you cover up for domestic abusers, if you cover up for violent criminals, and you get caught covering up for them or lying about it, man, it's hard to come back from that. But you see it all the time in politics. You're seeing it in television and movies with all these studio executives, and now you're seeing it in college football. Man, it's gotten almost. It's not there yet, but we're getting closer and closer to a zero tolerance of covering up something like this, or lying about it, or making excuses, or keeping someone on staff for it. We're to a point now, man, where it's like a reckoning has come. Way too late, but it has come, and I don't know how you. He didn't. Now it's different than what Jim Tressel got fired for, and I know it's much more serious than tattoos. But Jim Tressel did lie to administrators. He lied to the NCAA, and he lied to his bosses. Urban Meyer only lied to a reporter I mean, a lie is a lie. I get it. But, he lied to a reporter. I don't know if that's quite the same as lying to your boss. But it probably will end up being that way because it was a very public statement to a bunch of reporters, and he feigned ignorance. He feigned he didn't know what it was talking about. He blamed somebody for creating a story when we all know that if his wife knew then obviously he knew, and then the guy was fired the next day. I mean, come on. It's a really bad look. He knew about it. He tried to not cover up, I guess is the right term. But it's not what society is going to stand for anymore. Thank the heavens. But it's not. And he might very well, the second best college football coach in the country, one of the best of all time, might legitimately get fired from Ohio State for this, which I think, weirdly, is a really good sign for where we're going as a society.
Yeah, I mean, his career's over. I mean, he's not just going to get fired. His career's over. Because absolutely.
It's the ultimate litmus test for me because, again, other than the guy in Tuscaloosa, there is not a more proven winner in college football. And that program makes a ton of money, and that university makes a ton of money, and they win a lot. So this, to me, is the ultimate litmus test of what matters. Yeah. Is it going to be a slap on the wrist? Is it going to be a 6-week suspension? Or is it going to be a straight up, we cannot have this guy representing our university because – why would he have done this when he knew this was happening? Why would he have employed this person? Why did he make us pay him over? I assume the wide receivers coach at Ohio State makes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm sure he got paid well over $2 million in the last few years. Why did he make us make this guy a millionaire when he knew all along what was happening?
Yeah. And
his wife did too. And it might be a Title IX case as well. It's going to be really hard for him to keep his job. But if anyone was going to keep their job for something like Willie Taggart would have been fired yesterday if this came out. Willie Taggart hasn't accomplished. That's the reality of the situation. Right. He would have. Urban Meyer's been there a while. He's dug in and he's won a lot of football games for them. And we all hope that Ohio State does the right thing. It makes an example for the rest of college football and again the rest of society, like Miramax did, like maybe CBS will do with Les Moonves, like. U.S. congressmen have had to resign, all that stuff that's happened. You hope Ohio State follows that same track, and we really, really get to a point, man, where it's not even a conversation. If something like this happens on your watch and you knew about it and you covered it up, there's no conversation. There's no indefinite suspension, paid leave. You're done. And are we there yet? I really think this is a fascinating litmus test and a fascinating case because there is no bigger deal in college football other than Alabama than the Ohio State head football coach. So it'll be interesting. It's really interesting to see. I do think it'll happen one way or another. It'll probably come to a head this weekend.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's get back to Florida State athletics right after this. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
We're going to go out and we're going to do something.
This that tomahawk chop, pray our rivals flop. I bet they feel the spear after the final clock. We on the war path at the battle end, heading for that top spot when the rankings drop.
Wake up!
Yeah,
that's right. You bobbing your head over there, Corey? You bobbing your head?
I am, actually. It's weird you said that. I just started bobbing my head.
All right, nice. Nice, rather, not knife. In the spirit of equal time, that is Tarif Knockout and Lethal Simplicity. That's Florida State's theme song. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Independence Community College in Independence, Kansas. Get some.
Yeah, for real.
Get some.
Yeah, get some of that weird, long-haired band kid.
Dude, weirdo dude. I'm just joking. I think they should tour together, I would think. But yeah, check it out. Tarif Knockout, Lethal Simplicity. He's got Knoll blood in him, man. Represent. All right,
let's hope Willie wins, and that doesn't go the way of like the Seminole Rap.
Yeah, we're going to be.
Because the reason the Seminole Rap was such a disaster was because literally the first game after they did that, they lost 31-0 on national television. So let's hope Willie doesn't go 21-16 over the next 3 years.
Nah, we're going to be all right, brother.
I feel like we will be. And I say we as the community of Tallahassee.
Yeah, right on. All right, let's get to it, man. It's Renegade Express. Is here all your guys' questions and your gals. I can't talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm going to try to get better here. This is what happens when we take 2 days off, man. I get rusty. Anyhow, this guy is apparently a Russian bot. C691027 is his user handle. Welcome, comrade from Moscow. How will the DJ music be used or incorporated into the games? At practice, variety rules the day. I even heard a Waylon Jennings and George Strait song during one session. I heard Back in Black and Ozzy in another. Also, will they allow the Chiefs to play more often? Do we know? I think, didn't Ira get to the bottom of this, Corey?
If he did, I didn't read it, and Ira, I apologize. Not that you listen to the show,
Jeez,
but if you happen to listen, I didn't read it. But yes, from what I understand, that it won't really impact. You won't be able to tell any difference from last year or the year before. The DJ will be playing in the place of where other music was playing. It just so happens that instead of the guy playing it from the ninth floor above on the press level, he'll be down in the stadium with you can see a headset on him. Yeah. That, to me, that was the gist of what it will be. There will be really no change in the overall experience other than will be a DJ. I do hope, but I don't expect the band to play more. They are beholden now, and maybe this is at every big stadium, I don't know. They're beholden to so many corporate sponsors that they have to play all the video board as loud as it can possibly go to tell us to drive safe, which is a great message, sure, but turn it down a little bit, and maybe you don't have to play 2 or 3 commercials every TV timeout. Maybe let the Marching Chiefs play a little more because they were kind of obsolete last year, to be honest with you, for way too long of stretches. Yeah. So, but it is what it is, man. I've given up on hoping these people realize that the band, and there are reasons that college football people love college football, and one of them is the band.
Oh, stop it. No, they don't.
I'm telling you, it's the pageantry, man. I grew up in Atlanta. I went to Falcons games. I hate that sterile atmosphere. I can't stand it. Or the difference between a college basketball game and an NBA basketball game. I know it's the same sport, but there's a feeling. It's an energy. There is a difference. And there's special things about college football that don't need the video board screaming at us and fireworks. That's just me, though.
BC Knoll 16. Hey, Mr. 5 question here. I stopped with my guys, fellas, gentlemen. Wake up! Because Aslan stopped reading it with the excitement like he did the first time. It just depends where you are in the show, brother. If you're high in the show and you're one of the first ones up, I'll probably say it with gusto. And maybe if it's in the second segment, I already said wake up. It varies. However, he says he does love us both. Both you and I, Corey.
Okay, good.
He said you
nice.
first.
Great.
He did say you first. I think someone's asked us this before, but let's go ahead and humor our friend here. If you were a top recruit and you could take 5 official visits, where would you go? Corey, don't even worry about it, man. Just hit a button. You'll magically appear wherever you want to go. You don't need to get on a plane.
I think that matters, though. I would, but I, for the sake of it, let's say that I don't mind flying, or I'll be drugged up the whole time. Yes. I would like to go to Seattle, visit Washington. Okay. I like that part of the country. I've only been there a couple of times. I think I would go to UCLA because I really like that part of the country too. And I feel like if I'm visiting UCLA, they'll be able to whisk me around, and I won't have to be stuck in all that traffic.
Yeah.
So I can enjoy LA without, in some way, I don't know, maybe a helicopter where I don't have to be stuck in that god awful traffic. Athens, obviously, because it's probably the greatest city in the world. Maybe Georgia Tech too, because that's downtown Atlanta. And then Chaminade, isn't that in Maui? One of those Hawaii schools is in Maui, and I would want to go there because that's really pretty too.
Okay. Mr. Pageantry over here wants to go to Westwood and Seattle. Everybody. All right,
well,
got
hey,
that
man, Maui. In Chaminade, who I'm pretty sure doesn't even have a football team. For a game, you know what? For an actual game, if say I know I'm going to Georgia or Florida State or wherever, but I want to go experience a game day atmosphere, this is no lie. I would go visit Army or Navy for that game.
Yeah, we've talked about that. That's a bucket list one.
Yeah,
sure.
That's a bucket list thing. So I would definitely want to do that.
I guess just to mix it up, I probably would do one of the Arizona schools just for the co-eds, maybe Arizona State, just to kind of.
Arizona State's where you want to go for that on that route.
Check that out. Probably go to Ole Miss as well. Women in dresses and high heels is never going to go out of style, hopefully. That's 2 visits. Texas. I think I'd like to go see Texas. I've never been to Austin. Heard Austin is awesome, and they obviously love football there. It's religion. That would be cool to be celebrated.
Did I ever tell you the story about the guy that climbed up to the top of the tower at the University of Texas?
I think so. He was a Boy Scout and did some bad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he.
Yeah, we know. People. Yeah, we got kids listening, man. We don't want to trigger these kids.
No, sorry.
I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. People realize it. We'll tone down on things. That's 3 visits.
Well, I mean, also.
3 visits. Where else would I want to go? I think it'd be kind of maybe like a pirate conquering Knoxville and show up in Tennessee. Not really.
Okay.
No, I don't want to go to Tennessee. Oregon just to see what it's like in that whole facility. I mean, Willie said even the toilets were really cool. I like good public restrooms that are clean and modern. And
he said the toilets were cool?
He even said, he's like, everything there was amazing. He's like, even the sinks and the toilets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what that means. Maybe they spin the other way, like in Australia?
Maybe like the water's green, like ducks or something, and I don't know. That's just going off.
Maybe there's ducks in the toilet.
Maybe there are. Final visit, where would I want to go? Is there anywhere on the eastern seaboard I want to go? No. Midwest? I don't know.
What about College Station? I noticed you haven't mentioned College Station.
Yes. I hang out with Jimbo in his office and just shoot the breeze. There we go. Figured it out. That's 5 of them. All right. If you were a closer for the Atlanta Braves, what would be your running onto the field music song, Corey?
Man, I wish I had a heads up for that one. What bothered me,
I can go first if you
relevant. Want. Yeah, what do you got?
First off, BC Knoll says that he would come out to Blind by Korn. That's an aggressive one. I think I would come out to Rolling Stones. Is it Can You Hear Me Knocking? Is that the actual name of the song? I think that's like part of the lyric or whatever. Isn't that the name of a song for the Rolling Stones? Can You Hear Me Knocking?
Maybe. You could look that up.
Come on, you're the music guy. I thought you're the room.
Man, I don't. I if it is, maybe I know it as something else.
All right, but yeah, that song. The Rolling Stones. Can You Hear Me Knocking? That actually comes up as a song. Yeah, I can play it here. As we have technology on our side here.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that. Well, what I was going to say is that it's relevant because Trevor Hoffman was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he came out to Hell's Bells, I think.
All right.
Which I always thought was, which is fine. But my man's out pitch was a changeup. You can't be rolling out to Hell's Bells with the gongs and the bells ringing and everything, and then you're throwing 87-mile-an-hour changeups.
Going off speed.
Like you need to come out to Bop or something. If your out pitch is something in the 80s, man, Hell's Bells needs to be saved for the 98-mile-an-hours or like, Kimbrel's Welcome to the Jungle. That's cool, man, but Hell's Bells when you're throwing your out pitch is a changeup. I don't know what my walkout song would be.
There Goes My Hero, Foo Fighters.
That's not bad. It's Raining Men. That's not bad because I think that would throw hitters off their game a little bit.
Yeah.
Something the crowd could get into, but not Wild Thing because that's cliche. Get back to me on that one.
Okay, and
I'll come up with a good one.
30 seconds. Got to go to break. Corey, have you told Aslan the chicken coop joke I told you a few months back? Why does a chicken coop have 2 doors? Oh, because if it had 4 doors, it'd be a chicken sedan. Is that what it is?
I think so. No, I haven't, and that is funny. It makes me laugh every time. I had forgotten about it, and it just made me laugh again.
There we go. We'll be right back. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. WarChant.com. That's the mothership. And something cool going on for this here. Check it out, Corey. The Notre Dame game, we've partnered with GameDayExcursions.com. They've got multiple packages to enhance your game day experience for the Florida State Notre Dame game. There's literally going to be some sort of regatta, is that how you say it? Like a whole bunch of ships, like a yacht party in a river that goes...
Regatta.
Yeah, regatta. There's going to be a yacht, dudes and ladies and people having fun on a yacht in downtown Chicago the day before the game, I guess. Check it out. Go to GameDayExcursions.com for details or hop over to the Tribal Council on WarChant.com. If you use the promo code WarChant on GameDayExcursions.com, you get $10 off. There's going to be a tailgate. There's a bus transportation to and fro from Chicago to South Bend. It's going to be a big time, sounds like, Corey.
And there's don't we have like a welcome part, like a War Chant official party on the Friday night?
We could. I think we do. I think we do. So.
All right. Well, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, get up.
That sounds exciting.
It does. It'll be fun. One of us will be there. One of us will have to stay back, but we'll see what it's going to. It might be like a fight to the death between Corey and I, who gets to go and who has to stay back.
Well, maybe we're all going. It's Notre Dame, buddy. It's Notre Dame. They're a school that doesn't even need to be in a conference. We should all go.
We should. All right, let's try to get through all these questions. We probably won't go overtime, but we'll try to go nice and efficiently. Mr.
By the way, so I thought "Killing in the Name of" by Rage Against the Machine.
All right.
That's a jam that everybody would get going. But I also think I'd take it a little old school and maybe "Everything I Do It for You" by Bryan Adams, the Robin Hood song.
Oh man, don't get me started on
People love that. Or I would do "Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That" by Meatloaf. Both those are great.
You know it's true.
Everything I do. Oh, do that sound like Bryan Adams at all?
Dude, that was spot on. We might get copyright infringement. They might think that we're actually using the studio recording of that.
What's Bryan Adams doing hosting a morning podcast about Florida State football?
Worldwide, Knoll Nation. All right, great work, Corey, says Mr. HK. Love you as always, man. Getting better, Aslan. Keep it up.
Appreciate that.
Who scores the first touchdown of the Taggart era and how?
Patrick on like a 2-yard run.
Okay. Tamorian Terry, 27-yard fade route. Kelvin Benjamin-esque, hits the pylon. 3 seconds of dramatic pause. Referee looks at the pylon, looks at the side judge. Hands go up. Doak goes crazy. Who scores the first?
Now, do they review it? Is it going to be one that they have to review? I bet it will be.
Yeah, because of drama.
If he's kicking the pylon, yeah.
Yeah. Who's going to score the first defensive touchdown of the Taggart era? How?
Man, I know I'm the coracle, but these are hard questions. I would say I'm going to say Kendo.
Ooh, okay.
Brian Burns with a strip sack. It bounces right up into my man's arms. All he has to do is beat the offensive tackle that was trying to block him to the end zone.
Yeah.
And he's going to pick it up and go.
I
think about 22, 24 yards, something like that.
Okay. I think Florida State is up comfortably about 31-13, fourth quarter against Tech. Tech's mounting their final surge. Burns does come off the edge and force a fumble, but then it's a fiasco. It's like a rugby scrum. Everybody's trying to jump for the ball. We think we jump on it, but it goes under DeMarcus Christmas, and then out of nowhere, Hampson Nasruddin comes in, scoops it, and goes about 63 yards to ice it off, and then Willie's just like smiling from ear to ear, and then it's just the beginning of good times. It's the beginning of good times.
We're playing Tarif knockout in the stands. So you're thinking of 38-13 drubbing, huh?
That's what I'm thinking right now. It's
all right. That would be something.
It's not official. Over under 300 yards per game average rushing, 40 attempts per game. Over under on those numbers. 300. That's a big number. I'm gonna have to say
that would
under.
lead the country. So I'm under on that, but I think over on the rushing attempts.
Okay, I agree with that. Dr. Knoll asks us, after a recruit commits to Florida State, how does our coaches' recruiting process change with that recruit? I don't know. We'll table that one for next time we get Michael Langston on the program. He might have some better insight into it, unless, Corey, you want to share some sort of insight?
No, but I would say it's probably not something that even Michael would know right now. I think that's something you'll have to know. We'll have a better answer of that back maybe in January, because I think most of this class will be committed for months and months, but there are going to be some big fish out there in January they're going to be trying to get. But how are they still recruiting those guys that may, I guess some maybe December. Yeah, because most of them will probably sign in December now. So we'll know better in January how they were recruited during the fall, even though they've already committed. I assume it'll be – he's such a good recruiter, man. He knows the deal. You can't just stop recruiting kids because they've committed. So, I think he'll be just as hard on those guys, even the ones that have already said they're coming.
Not to get too far off the path, but did you see this? So Michigan is sending out their official offers, via handwritten letter and also – a cool little Photoshop graphic. Everybody's doing it these days. And they've sort of intimated in these offers that if you shut down your recruitment to Michigan, that they will honor your scholarship even if you get hurt as a high school senior. I don't know how legal it is. I don't know how binding it is, but they've sort of added this wrinkle where, like, listen, if you want to commit to us, that's awesome. But if you want to commit to us and you absolutely shut it down and you don't take visits, it sounds like, we'll go ahead, and if you blow out your knee or whatever happens, we'll still honor your scholarship. I think that's kind of cool. But I'm sure a lot of people don't.
I mean, it's cool, but it kind of makes you – I I know the reality of it, but you'd kind of want Michigan to do that anyway. Josh Sweat came to Florida State after shattering his leg. Yeah. You'd hope you'd kind of hold – you'd hope you would kind of honor a commitment and honor a scholarship, even if the kid gets hurt his senior year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you deserve a huge pat on the back for that. And also would never just, some kids are going to change their mind sometimes, man. It happens. Yeah. You can't force them not to.
I think you can. Do it up, Jim Harbaugh. I'm rooting for you down here, buddy. Rookie baby. Wake up, Aslan and Corey. Good work. Big games for week 1 of college football aside from Tech and Florida State are Auburn, Washington, Alabama, Louisville, LSU versus Miami, the FAU versus Oklahoma. Which of these games are you most interested to see? Keep up the good work. Hashtag do something.
Man, I got to admit, I didn't know Auburn played Washington.
I didn't know.
They really play each other the first game of the year?
Yeah, let's do this.
That's cool. Probably the LSU-Miami game.
Yeah, agreed.
Just because Florida State plays them, Miami, I mean, and also, I'm always interested in LSU and Ogeron and what that debacle is going to look like. Maybe they're good this year. Who knows? But that's probably the one that I'm probably most familiar with. Those two programs, care more about them than I do FAU or any of those other ones really. So probably that one. What about you, Aslan? A-Dog, A-Train?
I'm going to go say Ogeron is my guy. Tell him the Canes. So go Tigers, going to be a good game. Much respect for Mark Richt. Real good coach. There's time in the SEC. Probably that game. Although I wouldn't mind to see Lane Kiffin shock the world and tell everybody that it should have been him that was hired at Florida State over Willie Taggart and depose. And
what's the matter with you? Why would you say something? You just ingratiated yourself to everyone listening to us by doing a spot-on Ogeron accent, and then you go and say that craziness. By the way, I was going to say,
haven't you been hanging out with me
Ogeron
enough?
accent?
Who I am. Go ahead.
What?
I am Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is I. I am Lane Kiffin. I'd be punky coach if I was him too. I wouldn't be nice like Willie. I'd be a jerk. I'm a jerk and I'm poor and I don't have any power. If I had money and I had power,
that's cool.
I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear it, brother.
But I was going to say, with your Ogeron impression, I feel like it's really good. It's right there, but I can understand you too well.
Okay.
You've got to mumble it a little bit more where I'm like, what did he say? What exactly? Like I only understand like 60% of the words you say.
Okay.
Instead of 100. That would be my one note moving forward with that impression. But that's a keeper, buddy. I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't say this much. That's probably better than my Liam Neeson banana impression.
You don't have to be self-deprecating like that.
I'm telling you, man. That's not. I'm being honest. I've crafted that thing and worked on it for years, but I still think you got me beat with the Ed O.
All right. Dan C78. Let's see if we can breeze through. He's got a couple questions for us. Which side of the ball will be more dominant and feared by the time the Florida game rolls around, offense or defense? He says defense. I kind of agree. I'm very bullish on the defense. I feel like the defense is going to be fierce, fast, physical, aggressive.
My guess would be offense, just because I don't quite the depth with defensive line. If those guys can stay healthy, those four main guys, then I would say defense. But what if they get nicked up and there's not a lot of proven guys behind them, not a lot of great experience, backup experience. So my say would be offense. But hey, man. Maybe they both will be. Or maybe, quite honestly, probably neither one of them will be dominant in this first year. You hope they're just good enough. Dominant is like, 2013. To me, that's dominant. I don't know that either one of these units will be there this early.
His second question, what would you set the over-under at for pass attempts by Cam Akers this season? Same question for touchdowns thrown. He would set the over-under for 5.5 pass attempts and 1.5 touchdowns. I would go under. I think maybe 3. I mean, you can't do it that many times, really. I mean, can you? Isn't it the whole fact of it's the surprise, right? It's the novelty of it. You can't do this every other week.
You wouldn't think. But I would probably say under there too. But I do think it'll be more than 1.
For sure.
And I do think because I think they will use him in that capacity. As a quarterback, not that I promise I'll have any inside information. Heck, they haven't even started practicing yet. But also, Walt Bell is kind of a creative guy that likes some of that trickery stuff. And I think that when you got a guy like Cam Akers, man, get the ball in his hands as many ways as possible.
True that. All right, man, we got one final segment for our radio listeners. We'll do that right after this. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Your Friday. Hopefully it's going by nice and fast. We're just about done here on Wake Up or Chant. He's Corey Maslow. Thanks for listening. We do appreciate it, truly. And I'm not a prick. I'm just kind of grumpy sometimes. And I'm glad Willie's our head football coach. I just did for the third time today.
Did.
Come after me, FCC. What you gonna do?
Yeah, we're waiting on you. Do you even know about us, FCC? You're gonna know about us.
Worldwide. All right, CGJ0198. When is the first Willie Taggart show? Will this guy be there? It's whoever that awesome man was that told Jimbo what's up with loyalty and got yoked out of there.
They've got pushed out by one of the henchmen.
I don't know. Isn't Willie's show actually going to be on Mondays as well? I think they're moving it to Mondays, his show, like the call-in show.
Yeah, which would make me think that his actual TV show, where they do the highlights and everything, will be on Sunday, which is where it should be.
Correct.
It was always goofy that Jimbo's came on at Monday at 4. I mean, good grief. Anyway, but yeah, I would think that it's still going to be Monday at like a spot like that, right? I think it's going to be hopefully the same spot, or a spot where people can come and ask questions.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to do it at the Rotunda Hotel, the one that the old Holiday Inn, the Circle. Is that the 4 Points or whatever now?
Yeah, that's where it was. What Jimbo's stuff was too.
I just think it was at the Hotel Duval or whatever that was. That used to be a Radisson Hotel. That used to be the hotel they would put.
Might be right.
That's where they used to put kids up for their official visits, like Willie Williams eating all them lobster tails and steaks. He stayed at the Radisson there on Monroe. That's now the Hotel Duval. Anyhow,
right.
Stevie J, FSU 422 at the end of the 2018-2019 season. That's this season. Why are you making me read all these numbers, Stevie? Be easy. Third leading rusher. Can't say a quarterback, though, Corey.
So at the end of this season is what he's saying.
Yeah. Third leading rusher.
Will be LeBourne.
Yeah. All right, I'll agree with that. I can't put Jaquez down there. I can't do the Jock.
No, I just think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be a big part of this offense, man. I think Willie likes him, and I think he's gonna be a big part.
Fourth leading wideout. No tight ends.
Man, all these rules. So I'm gonna say DJ Matthews for sure will be up there, and Nooney will be up there. So you're looking at Terry or
Keith Gavin.
Who else is even there? Gavin. Ooh, I'm going to say Gavin.
I agree. Yeah, I think I'm high on Terry. I think DJ's going to get plenty of passes thrown his way, and Nooney's got to make bread for the rest of his life over the course of the next 7 months. So I don't see him.
And you know why the reason I'm most high on Terry is because his head coach is so high on him.
Yeah.
Like his head coach always makes a point of talking about him early and often. So that leads me to believe that he thinks he's going to have a big year and he's going to be a big weapon.
Yeah. Most interceptions in the secondary, I'm going to say, I guess Samuel's the third just because no one's going to throw at Levante Taylor, right?
I'm going to say I was going to say Nasruldeen.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has one yet. I think it's going to be one of the safeties. Yeah. Maybe Fagan.
Okay.
Maybe I got on a limb and say Fagan. It's just hard for corners to get a ton of picks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Buckley did, but that was a
long time ago.
That was crazy. That was 30 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, I'll say Nasruldeen, but I really think it'll be like Fagan or Westbrook, somebody like that.
You guys are so high on Westbrook. Stevie J says Jaden Woodby. He also adds, by the way, he's getting the tally on Saturday before the Virginia Tech game. Any chance of a War Chant event Saturday and Sunday? Maybe a special live game day edition of Wake Up War Chant on Langford Green Labor Day morning? Okay.
Nope.
That would be epic. Love the show, guys. I think the Aslan haters have finally realized you're a dude. Hey, man, thank you. They probably haven't, but keep that up. I'll get you a T-shirt or something for that, for the kind words.
Yeah, that's nice. But I don't think we're going to be doing. I don't think we planned for anything. I will say, because it's me and it's Ira and it's on the same radio station, that I know Seminole Headlines is going to have a listener appreciation party on Friday night, and I think Jeff Cameron's will be on Sunday night. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff going on if you want to hang out and see some of your favorite Florida State beat writers, which is obviously Ira and I.
Yeah, maybe I'll just crash one of them or something like that.
You should, buddy. You should.
All right, man, we're done. That's all the time we have for the radio side. We're going to do a podcast special overtime edition. Subscribe to the podcast if you don't already. We'll see you on that flip side. If you're listening to the radio side, enjoy the rest of your day.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
We're back. I told you we'd be back. It's the overtime segment. Your questions, your calls. Well, actually, your calls will be on Monday. Following, we'll have plenty to talk about because we'll have the coordinators and Willie Taggart speaking on Sunday as Florida State opens up preseason camp. So exciting times. Corey's still here. Hello, Corey.
What's up?
All right, let's get back to it. The questions on the Tribal Council. FSU Lou says, don't go to sleep. Okay. Do you think any Noles will be All-Americans this year, and who are they? Love the show. Go Noles.
I think your best bet is Akers, maybe Taylor. I don't think Christmas will be. I don't think he's going to put up enough numbers, and he's a good player. It's hard for those defensive linemen to put up a lot of numbers. I would say your best bets, in my opinion, are Akers or Levante Taylor.
I just feel like Florida State never gets consideration at the running back spot for that kind of stuff. I mean, I assume, was Dalvin, was he a first-team All-American? I mean, he played
for some. He wasn't a consensus.
Yeah.
I think he made one or two teams, but not all. But he was also, you had, who were the other guys? The kid at Stanford and Fournette.
There's
competition was stiff.
There's always a random guy at San Diego State who runs for 2,000 yards and gets, so – I mean, Cam, I think, is the most talented guy. I don't know if I'm going to go Landon Dickerson, man. I'm going to say the Boy Scout.
Oh man, okay, all right.
They're going to run for all those yards and rack up all that stuff. Garnett 76. Good morning, fellas. I am totally blown away by the recruiting machine that Taggart seems to be creating. How would you contrast the way he quote closes the deal with recruits to the approaches taken by Dabo or Kirby Smart, who have also had great recruiting success? By the way, have Team Slon and the Jimbo Airhorn been permanently retired? Yeah, Jimbo's gone. I'm over it. And
all right. I feel like you should bring it back in the fall, just because we're going to talk about Texas A&M every week.
Yeah,
just how they did.
That's right.
So maybe the first time we talk about them each week, you sound the air horn. Yeah. I would say, to be honest with you, I don't know as far as closing. I don't know because we haven't really seen it yet. I mean, I know we saw it whenever he took the job in middle of December, but he had to open and close at the same time. It'll be interesting to see these guys that he's been working on for months and months in January how he closes with them. It's hard to say for sure how he will do with that. I'm on record as how good a recruiter I think he is, so I assume he's going to close very, very well.
All right. Noldad 84, Brother Aslan, Brother Corey, wake up. Love the show, guys. I'm friends with a bunch of SEC turds, his words, not mine, and they constantly remind me how FSU was scared to join the SEC. My question, what's your take on this? If it were possible, would you want Florida State to join the SEC? What other school would you take with us to join? Have a great week if you want to.
Let me get real quick. Florida State wanted to join the SEC. There was a school in the conference that desperately did not want them to join the SEC. And we get why. It makes sense. The ACC offered Florida State a lot. They had to join a conference. They were smart to do it then, and it worked out perfectly. But let's not act like the SEC in 1992 was anything like it was today. Florida State played all those teams. In fact, I looked it up. Florida State finished in the top 10. Florida State finished in the top 5 more times in the 90s than the entire SEC combined.
Suck it.
We act like anybody was scared of Auburn in 1996. Florida ran roughshod through that conference. All they had to do was introduce someone that knew how to throw a ball forward as a coach, and they ran roughshod through that conference. Georgia was being coached by Ray Goff. LSU who did they have? Mike Archer, Jerry DiNardo. Alabama was stuttering through whatever they did post Stallings. The SEC was not anything at all. Florida State was not scared of joining the SEC in the 90s because the SEC wasn't anything to be scared of. It became scary when Nick Saban and Urban Meyer joined a decade and a half later. But it's certainly Ole Miss, Mississippi State, any of those schools, Vanderbilt, Tennessee in the late 90s, and Florida. Those were the only two schools that were worth a darn for the entire decade. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's fine. I was going to try to play. This. Let's see if this actually comes over.
That's the bottom line. The Stone Cold Simpson.
That's a bottom line because Corey Clark said so.
And I kind of look like him, don't I?
You do. Real quick, Corey. I mean, like in a 30-second. I mean, this is me being naive, I guess, but why would Florida not want Florida State to be in the SEC? Auburn and Alabama don't want to separate. Mississippi and Mississippi State don't want to separate. A&M leaving Texas caused all sorts of grief inside of there. Like, why would I've never understood that thing. Like, Florida did not want Florida State in the conference. Would that just?
I think it's an inherent advantage. Remember that, like Auburn and Alabama and Ole Miss and maybe Mississippi State, they were kind of paired together. Where I don't know the history, but I assume they were they were in the SEC for long periods of time.
Correct. Yeah.
Florida State in 1991, when this was all happening, 1991, they were a juggernaut. And they were already competing with Florida and beating Florida. They had just beat them, whatever it was, 5 years in a row. So Florida wasn't a big fan of Florida State. Obviously, they thought that they had a decided advantage competitively because they were in a conference. And, they would rather have the conference to themselves and make Florida State go elsewhere and play in a non-football conference, thinking that may be, my opinion anyway, and this could be completely wrong, that might hurt the credibility of Florida State if they're having to play in the ACC instead of the SEC. Why make Florida State even more powerful than they are by letting them come in here? I would think that's the reason. I'm sure there are people listening to this that are shaking their heads that know the real reason, so I'm probably not the best person to ask, but that's how I understood it at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
But again, at the time, I was, I had hair.
Good old days.
Thick crop of hair, so you could really run your fingers through it.
Get Down Black reports that he's been missing for a few wedding planning things with the fiance, among others. Congratulations. Way to rub it in. I'm going to die alone. You won't. You win. This is more of a statement about the DJ. I think it's more for the recruits than the fans being able to stay crunk when you whooping that eep. I know it's going to be so the player on the Jumbotron is going to get caught dancing. It's going to make Sports Center. It's going to become a meme or something. So it's a marketing thing, he says. It's not gonna hurt the culture. So,
well, sure, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I was worried more than anything at the time. It's since been explained that it was going to cut even more into the marching chiefs.
Yeah.
And there's enough music that they already play, and now they're just it's going to be the same amount of music over the PA system, except now the guy that's playing it's going to be down near the field instead of up in the skyboxes.
Yeah. Save our Chiefs. Running Knoll, a.k.a. I'm going to start calling her Aunt Deb. Aslan, Corey, wake up. She compliments my musical choices. She says, Corey, she cannot believe you finally said something nice about Shreveport. I am so proud of you. She does add she's okay with the DJ, but again, kind of echoes Corey's sentiment that she hopes the Marching Chiefs will still play a huge part in the game day atmosphere. Which, yeah, they're not going.
What did I say nice about Shreveport? Just that it was better than Independence, Kansas, and Scuba.
It's something, Corey. It's something, man.
Hey, it is, man. And they do have casinos in a river that runs through the town. It's
Port City. Port City, buddy.
Exactly right. It's got some nice draws to it.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody hopes is just that you don't want it to become like a professional atmosphere. That's all. Yeah. That's what you want to. That's college football isn't the NFL, so don't try to make it the NFL. But as long as they're not really changing anything and they're just throwing a DJ, I mean, I think Clemson's has a DJ too.
Auburn does. Right. I know Auburn does. Jimbo Imposter, a.k.a. Heisman 20 with a Z, just had my tonsils, adenoids, uvula, and tribinates removed by sleep apnea. Good. That's a bad thing, sleep apnea. So let me know how that works out for you, Heisman 20, for real. That's a good thing. Surgery was less painful than the horror stories I've heard. What's your most memorable game that was advertised to be tough for Florida State but wound up being painless, Corey? Heisman offers He offers two examples. 2004 Virginia. I remember that one vividly. They were sixth in the nation, as Heisman says. And then 2013 Clemson, obviously. I remember being very nervous about that game, and then Jameis Winston said, I got this. The only thing I could add to that is probably 2010 Miami. It was down in Miami. I think they were ranked higher than us. It's still the whole bugaboo boogeyman of Miami had not fully been cleansed from the spirit of a Florida State fan. And that was a pretty cakewalk of a game. That's the only ones that really.
I'm not going to answer the Florida State side of it, but I will say I bought tickets to the NFC Championship game when the Falcons played Aaron Rodgers a couple years ago.
Okay.
And obviously because it's Aaron Rodgers and because it's Atlanta, you're like, okay, they're going to lose in a heartbreaking fashion. So even though Atlanta had a big lead in the third quarter, I was still kind of worried that the comeback would happen. Now, as we saw 2 weeks later, I had a right to worry that they would collapse, but not against that Packers team. And I thought that was going to be a really close game, and it was basically just a dance party for the last hour of it.
Yeah.
So that would be my one of the more recent memories of something like that.
Our comrade from St. Petersburg, Russia, supposedly he's in Ashburn, Georgia, but he's probably in Siberia, C691027. And I'm just kidding, partner. I know you're from Georgia. He actually tipped us off to Maureen Terry and Ontario Wilson. So good for him, man. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Right.
Will we get the 150-person recruiting army that Georgia employs to saturate recruits multiple times a day with, quote, the love that major recruits have come to expect now? If so, where do we apply? I wasn't aware that they had. Is that what you guys are doing in Athens these days, Corey?
Hey, man, I don't know. That's news to me. I mean, I feel like there's only a certain amount of people that can talk to these kids, but maybe not. Maybe there's no limit to how many times you can tweet at them and tell them how much you love them. But again, sure. I'm sure they're always looking for takers, people that can tweet at these kids or, hand out hundreds.
For sure.
It was a joke, folks. It's a joke, folks. Yeah. College football doesn't do that.
Never.
Come on, guys.
FSU Guy 1989. Sup, dudes? Keep up the awesome work, guys. You definitely make my day when I'm able to listen to your podcast in the morning. 2 quick questions. What is likely to come first, Corey Clark? Top 2 recruiting class or an 11 or 12-win season?
Top 2 recruiting class.
Agreed.
Because I think it's coming next year.
Yeah, I agree. Then he poses a question, a riddle of sorts. If Gene is the founder of War Chant, how come it shows that Michael Langston actually joined before him? Also, Ira shows that he joined in 2014, just in time to avoid any of the lost decade headaches. LOL. Have fun with that one, guys.
Yeah, so because Ira was at the Democrat. Now, Ira was at War Chant. He was at the Osceola and then went to the Democrat for 3 years and then went back to War Chant starting in 2014 in his capacity that he is now, which is what, the managing editor?
Correct.
Whatever we have to call him. That's what he does now. So that his is actually true. With the Langston, I don't know, but it's like our guy that said he joined on September 11th.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dates are just messed up.
They are.
I don't know how that is. Can't explain it. It's it'll always be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Did Ira? He only worked at the Democrat for 3 years. I thought he was there for longer than that.
Maybe 4. Maybe I'm trying to think. I think he joined in 2000. Yeah, I guess 4. 2010. He came over.
I thought it was more than that, but anyhow, all right. Sav 32. What's going on with Shavar Manuel and Keon Joyner? Are they still academically ineligible, and will they be in JUCO again this year? And is Xavier Peters going down that same road? Any hope in getting them on the team? Ship, I think, has sailed on Shavar Manuel and Keon Joyner. They were actually, I think, supposed to enroll in East Mississippi, but they ended up going to somewhere in Kansas. I think maybe Fort Scott, where we got Wally and May from. At least Shavar was. Those both guys, they fell off the side of the earth. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it or anything. It's unfortunate. They both were supremely talented kids. I think at one point Keon Joyner was maybe the number 1 defensive player in the entire nation, but I did a cursory search because I saw this earlier in the day, and there's nothing on these guys on Twitter, on the internet. It's sad. I mean, there's tragedy in this world, and I'm not comparing to that. But when you see these kids that have an offer and all this stuff and all this talent, and they just can't get onto the campus, it's bizarre. Xavier Peters, it sounds like it's a holding pattern right now. The paperwork is in. Florida State's just trying to see if it goes through the clearinghouse. But according to Michael Langston, I think people on the Peters side of this equation feel pretty optimistic. He's a linebacker, I think, from Cincinnati, from Kentucky or Ohio, somewhere in the Midwest. They feel that he likely will make it into the class.
Well, there you go. There's some good info for you.
There we go. All right, last one here. This is JDog_20_8. Basically, he's asking us here, Court. It's a long one. I'll try to parse it down a little bit. He asks us how we react to rival fan bases. He regales us with a story of him in North Carolina out with, I think his missus, and had shorts on. He's got a FSU tattoo proudly showing. And the guy tells him, "Go Gators," and they laugh it off. But then later on in the day, the guy walks by, says, "Go Gators," does the chomp, and then starts calling Florida State Felony State University. Later on in the day, he and his girl walk by and do the same thing and start taunting our friend J-Dog with more Felony State nonsense. He tries to laugh it off, but he asks us, how do we handle this kind of stuff? If you experienced it, if not, ignore it. But we won't ignore it. We'll talk about it. You don't care about anything except your family and I don't know, like your Netflix shows, really, Corey, right? Like you don't let this football stuff bother you.
Not in that order either.
Right.
But No, not really. No, I certainly don't anymore. But also remember, I don't go to many things as a fan.
Yeah.
So people don't really yell stuff at me. I don't see a lot of stuff. I get tweets, but who really cares about those? I will say a funny moment happened in Pasadena because my then wife, the great Shanna, the lovely Shanna, was out in Pasadena with me, and along with one of my friends, and we were just walking around the grounds. We got there 5 hours early and just wanted to enjoy the atmosphere. So we're walking around, and I think I told this story on Headlines. I can't remember, but there were these Auburn fans behind us they kept. I didn't understand what they were saying at first, but they were like, they kept saying Duke, Wake Forest, tough ones, NC State, like. Because I was just wearing normal clothes, but Shanna was wearing her Florida State stuff, and they were essentially mocking Florida State's schedule, like these two Auburn guys, like, oh, you haven't seen, big bad Duke, you haven't seen anything like Alabama. Good luck, whatever they were saying, you'd lose 4 games in the SEC, which was crazy for Auburn fans to be saying. But anyway, they kept doing that over and over for like a minute until I finally resonated what they were saying, and I just turned around and I'm like, yep, you're right, no talent, LaMarcus Joyner bum, Winston bum. P.J. Williams, go down the line. You're right. Florida State has no chance. And it wasn't that great a comeback, but it was like, man, don't be an idiot. Literally every starter on that team was in the NFL. But the thought of those dudes those same guys when it was 21-3, and what they must have been thinking and saying to each other in the stands that night, that they're up 21-3 and Florida State's this big fraud and we're going to win by 50 points. Just the thought of their heartbreak with 13 seconds left when he catches that pass. That still makes me smile.
The best part of actually going and seeing that game in person was not being on social media, and then the next day seeing all the retweets and the memes that were just, Clay Travis and everybody's like, oh, that's what happens when you haven't played in the SEC all year and you actually play a real team. And just to see all that, I was like, you losers. J-Dog, I don't really have a lot of good advice because I tend to get violent, and I'm proud of it. I'm not proud of it at all. I'm not as bad with it anymore. I probably would challenge this person to a duel, but as a Florida fan, I would just laugh. You just got to bring up the kind of scoreboard stuff. It's 5 in a row. They wouldn't have scored any points if Nooney Murray knew how to field the punt and Sean McGuire didn't get an errant snap. They're terrible. Just bring up Georgia Southern. Anytime anybody from Florida says anything, remind them that they went 4-8. What, twice in the last 5 years?
Ask them what their bowl streak is. Yeah. You lost count. What's their bowl streak at?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Ours is, because you're speaking as a Florida State fan, ours is getting close to 40. Right. Where are you guys at again? And then that could be the end of it. They literally have not got, everybody goes to bowls. I would imagine Louisiana Tech's bowl streak is like 9, and Florida State's is 0. Florida's is 0. 2 of the last 4 years or 5 years, they haven't gone to a bowl at all, which is almost impossible in this era of college football. Florida State was terrible last year, and they went to a bowl. Yeah. I mean, come on. And anyway, that would be what I would maybe bring up.
And feel free to remind them that they had a 50-year head start and every economic and built-in advantage to be more successful than Florida State, and they have absolutely nothing to show for it. So that's.
They won some championship.
Well, they had the head start. They don't have any edge on Florida State. They don't have more Heisman.
No, I thought you just meant overall they had nothing to show for it, like they were,
also, if you want to really,
Arkansas.
If you really want to needle them, ask them how many times they've gone undefeated. And that'll be a good answer from them as well.
Or ask them what school Burt Reynolds went to.
Oh, boom. That should be the mic drop. Well, Corey, I don't know. It's August. Football season is quickly approaching. But even before we get to football season, we've got the weekend coming up here. Anything you want to just kind of let the folks know before they get started on what will be their first weekend in the wonderful Leo season of August?
Not really. Just wanted to maybe leave them with, a little everything I do. And this is to the listeners.
Yeah.
I do it for you. Oh, yeah. Bryan Adams at all? Do you hear it at all? Is it anywhere in there?
Dripping. Nothing but that Canadian heartthrob.
It's dripping with sensualness and sexiness, I think.
Somebody just got pregnant somewhere in the United States listening to this program. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll catch up with you on Monday.